Tonight on KGW News, the warning signs of an alleged crime spree. Why some say an accused killer should never have been on Portland streets. Also ahead, plenty of funding, even more frustration.
We definitely need a little less talk and a lot more action.
A progress report on how Oregon's public defender crisis only appears to be getting worse. Plus,
when I tell people, well, this was developed by a high school student, oftentimes they're a little bit taken aback and blown away.
How a kind heart, a brilliant mind, and a lot of initiative help transform a teenager's idea into something that could be a game changer. Thanks for joining us. I'm David Molko. We begin at 11 with a wrongful death lawsuit filed against the Federal Probation Office in Oregon, alleging a man under their supervision violated the terms of his release dozens of times, then went on to murder 3 people in the Rose City. Alma McCarty is here with the update. Alma?
Yeah, David, you might remember back in March 2022, a shooting near Dawson Park in North Portland, claiming the life of 55-year-old Mark Johnson. Officers then identified the suspect in that case as Joseph Banks, a man with a history of mental illness and a criminal record. The estate of Mark Johnson filed this particular suit. Housed inside the federal courthouse downtown, the United States Probation Office for the District of Oregon. It now faces a lawsuit for how it handled the case of a man known to be dangerous, a man named Joseph Banks. In early 2022, Banks was charged with murdering 3 men, seemingly at random. Isaiah Hurst.
He was just a low-key kind of guy, which is why this is even more shocking.
Jeff Ramirez.
It's like a weird nightmare. We found out the day of.
And Mark Johnson. Portland police officers say Banks shot Johnson just after noon on March 1st, 2022. As first reported by the Oregonian, attorneys representing Johnson and his estate filed a wrongful death lawsuit alleging his death was the result of the negligence of the probation office. Banks had spent most of the last decade in federal custody before the court ordered him released to federal supervision, subject to a series of conditions. Court documents allege how in the 6 months preceding Johnson's death, Banks violated the terms of his release at least 30 different times, failing to take his medications, threatening staff at his Portland care home, and leaving the facility without returning. Staff reportedly told Banks' probation officer that they were, quote, concerned that all these small pieces to his current situation is going to create a bigger problem. They also suspected he might have a gun. Although the care home reported these violations to the U.S. Probation Office, the probation officer failed to alert the court or set a hearing, according to the lawsuit. And it goes on to say, quote, if the required action were taken on any one of the violations, Banks would have been returned to court and likely would have been back in jail. We reached out directly to the U.S. Probation Office for the District of Oregon this afternoon for a response to this lawsuit and its claims. We have yet to hear back. As for Banks, records show he was committed to the Oregon State Hospital in June 2022. David?
Thanks, Alma. Appreciate your reporting on this tonight. Well, 7 months pregnant and giving birth on the streets of Portland. That is the reality for one young mother who delivered her baby in a tent instead of in the hospital. This was downtown Saturday morning at a camp below the Morrison Bridge. According to dispatch, the 26-year-old had fentanyl in her system and gave birth about 5 minutes before paramedics could arrive. Her friend Becky, who's also living on the streets, was there to help.
All of a sudden, she's just like, Becky, help me, please help me. And I'm like, what, baby? And she goes, it hurts, it hurts. And I'm like, okay, well, let's call 911. We put her on this cart right here. And then rolled her down there. And so I just told her, I was like, just relax. She goes, I'm scared. I said, it's okay.
The woman and baby were taken to the hospital. No word on their condition. Portland Fire and Rescue says this is the second time this year they've gotten a call about someone giving birth in a tent downtown. New at 11, while funding around homeless services and housing in Multnomah County is now in the hundreds of millions of dollars. The thing that some are now calling a game changer didn't cost taxpayers a penny, thanks to a local high school student. And Catherine Cook met that remarkable teen tonight. Catherine?
David, Claire Tsao recognized a need and did something about it. She created an app connecting people with services. A simple concept she hopes will help address a complicated issue.
I'm also a high schooler. I still love watching TV, going on my phone.
But that is where ordinary ends with Claire Tsao. Last summer, the Jesuit senior launched an app she created called Shelter Bridge. It's a resource hub for people experiencing homelessness and food insecurity in Portland, a way for them to find shelter beds and other resources.
There's also mental health resources in the area.
Claire says she recognized the need for such an app while volunteering at Blanchet House.
I kind of realized that it's so hard for people to find these resources, and maybe that's one of the reasons why people continue to struggle.
We've been asking for an app like this for a number of years now.
Scott Kerman is executive director of Blanchet House. He's thrilled and a little astonished that the solution came from Claire through a high school service project for free.
All the credit in the world, because they're doing something that frankly nobody else has really stepped up to do.
The app has room to grow. Local shelters can register now and eventually provide real-time shelter availability.
There's so many different social services out there, and it's definitely going to be a challenge to connect us all, but I think it'll be possible.
To have the kind of technology that we use every day with hotels and other kinds of reservations to help people get into safe, supportive, and dignified shelter would be a game changer for our community.
There's so much potential here.
District Attorney-elect Nathan Vasquez learned about Shelter Bridge last summer. Claire, who was interning at the DA's office, asked him for advice. Vasquez in turn asked her to demo the app for the office. Since then, he's shared Shelter Bridge with first responders, county commissioners, and others, urging them to download and use it.
The response has been, oh my gosh, this is amazing. We've been looking for this and wanting this. And I think when I tell people, well, this was developed by a high school student, oftentimes they're a little bit taken aback and blown away.
It seems being extraordinary will do that.
Make sure that it gets out in the community and leaves a lasting impact.
Of course, homelessness is not just an issue in Portland, so Claire is working with other youth advocates around the country to expand the app's reach. So far, Shelter Bridge is in Seattle, Philadelphia, and LA. David.
Yeah, talk about taking an idea and running with it. Wow, great to see. Thank you, Catherine.
You bet.
To get you caught up on tonight's other headlines now, in Gresham, a man was killed and a woman badly hurt in a hit-and-run crash. This was just after 4 this morning at 181st in Sandy. 3 cars were involved. Police say they arrested the suspect on I-84 not far away. Their name has not been released. In Hillsborough, 1 person is dead following some sort of industrial accident. This was near Southeast Cornelius Pass Road and Southeast Kinnaman Street. Rescuers say the victim was dead when they arrived. Officials are working to contact the victim's family, and OSHA is also involved. And Boeing has extended its Friday deadline for striking workers to vote on its new offer, though union leadership insists they don't plan to bring it up for a vote. The new offer includes a 30% wage increase over 4 years, a doubled ratification bonus of up to $6,000, and increased matches on retirement contributions. The union leaders say that is still not enough, primarily because it does not restore pensions. More than 30,000 aerospace machinists remain on picket lines in the Northwest. We are following up tonight on Oregon's shortage of public defenders, which appears to be getting worse by one measure, prompting new criticism from lawmakers. They say they are frustrated because Oregon dedicated $90 million in 2023 to begin to tackle the issue, yet the number of defendants waiting for lawyers is about 4 times higher now than it was a couple of years ago. 4 times higher. Senator Janine Solman, a Democrat, criticized the independent body that oversees the system, along with the state judicial department, at a hearing.
We have invested, and I don't want to put, multi-millions of dollars. The agency commission has been funded every time they've asked. They have been funded and given the dollars to address the crisis. And yet the crisis is not moving. It is actually growing. We definitely need a little less talk and a lot more action.
Well, judicial authorities say the state needs at least 22 more public defenders, and the department says it has been hiring. Later this week, lawmakers could choose to direct more money, potentially, toward trying to fight the problem.